for attending today. I am part of the committee, but Amir Gathers, who is the chair of the committee, is running a few minutes late, so he will be taking over one side once he gets here. So blessings to everyone here. We're gathered here together. That sounds like church, huh? Well, we need that, right? So no, we do, right, Hoagie?
Yeah, absolutely. Mom, you serve communion? That's my job. That's what I do.
We're gathered here, but we're here here with Counselor Hogan, Counselor Navi, Counselor Jones-Rouser, President Hudson, myself, Rashida Caldwell, Counselor Caldwell, Counselor Monto, Counselor Padiagua, right? And we're here to talk about several different things, right? Connor, you can go ahead and get it going.
Sure thing. Good afternoon, Councilor. Connor Muldoon, Chief Operating Officer. I'm joined by my colleague here, Jeff Nielsen from Jenoptik. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I'm looking forward to meeting with you all.
Great. There we go. No need to share. Thank you.
So, could you say that again? Jenoptics. Your name again? I apologize.
Jeff Nielsen.
Jeff. Thanks, Jeff.
And I'm with Jenoptik and responsible for the program management for Syracuse.
Great. And so just a bit of table setting before we go in. So as we've had a number of conversations, we're all familiar with, there are three components to our school zone traffic enforcement program. In the spring, we launched our bus stop arms, which are attached to the school buses and document incidents where vehicles pass a bus when students are loading or unloading, when the amber lights are flashing and the red stop arm is out. At the beginning of the school year, on the first day of school, we launched the beginning phases of the next two components of that program, our red light enforcement program and our school speed zone camera program. All of these work together with the intention around, in alignment with our Vision Zero efforts to prevent traffic and safety violations and to increase the city's ability to enforce some of the most egregious examples of speeding in school zones. My understanding is that today we have a number of topics, or in the past couple of weeks we've had some questions about data security and privacy and things like that. We have a number of folks in the audience today from various departments, from API and digital services, from the law department, Municipal Violations Bureau, SPD, school district. Goodness, quite a few people here that can talk about a number of issues or any questions or concerns. And happy to turn it back to the council for any questions.
I just want to ask about, I know that we're talking about the underground at the STEAM school.
Correct.
So we're talking the how do I want to say it? I guess all of the utilities underground are antiquated. So we're trying to actually bring those up to speed. And with Jenoptik, can't say their name, we're looking to put together I don't want to say policy, but where they'll be responsible with us for the maintenance of the underground stuff.
Right. So Jeff can speak to that in a little bit more detail, but just as a recollection for everyone, on Monday, the council did pass the revocable permission agreement, which is a fairly standard permission that allows a third party to deploy or locate their equipment in the public right-of-way. And then some components of that agreement were around liability for if things during the construction period get damaged, other existing equipment that's in there. There's some electrical conduits for street lights and traffic signals and things like that underground there. That there would be responsible cost sharing on the part of Jenoptik to cover any damages. The reason why that location in particular was being held until we had that revocable permission in hand was that the majority of our speed camera program uses overhead electrical powering. So the wires could drop down from overhead, and it doesn't require getting underground and potentially damaging anything. In that downtown location, and in that location, those conduits are the oldest conduits that the program will be utilizing. It's shared space, basically a tube underneath the roadway that contains a number of different pieces of equipment. And that was one that, just because of the age of those conduits, sometimes when you're getting underground in construction, things can be damaged or crushed, the conduit can. And so you want to make sure that we're being as cautious as we can be in installing that infrastructure.
Okay.
So with that saying, once we install, so for those people who are not like tech savvy and understand
Right.
all of this, right? Because this is a lot, right? So once it's installed underground, right? Then how maintaining this? Where does that fall with the city, with Jenoptics, the fee, the pay? Like, what does that look like moving forward once they? finish
Sure. So
installing?
I'll speak quickly to just the cost sharing, and then I'll turn it over to Jeff for any specifics around maintenance. So these programs across the country typically are put into place where the contractor, our partner, will it's their equipment, so they pay for the procurement and installation of that equipment, and then as a result of being located within our right-of-way, we share in the revenue for any dollars that are generated through fines or violations. And it's a little bit different across the 3 programs, but it's typically around, Jeff, do you know those off the top of your head? The rev share. To Jenoptik, right? 35 on speed and red light program, it's 35% to Jenoptik, 65% to the city, and then on the bus stop arm,
45 to Jenoptik.
45 to Jenoptik and 55 to the city. Thank you very much, Jeff. I appreciate that.
Sorry, school district doesn't receive anything behind this?
The funds go to the city in the general fund.
General fund, but not anything to the actual school district?
Not directly to the school district, no.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's just the 3,
Yep.
Jenoptics, the city.
Just the 2, but it's a slightly different revenue share across the 3 programs.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I can ask Jeff to comment on Jenoptik's responsibility for maintaining the equipment within our right-of-way.
Yeah, so it is our responsibility to maintain that the equipment not only is in good order and is not damaging the current conduit or other things around it, but also that the uptime is maintained. So it's our responsibility to get it in a timely fashion if something does go down on that at our expense.
And what do you consider a timely fashion?
Well, let's put it more practical. I can tell you within 24 hours.
Okay.
24 hours is the standard KPI we use, key performance index. But we have field engineers that are stationed residing here in Syracuse, and so they're dedicated to doing that same day.
I don't know if the administration aspects are your responsibility.
That is correct. Yes.
And how can we ensure the community? Like, I love the cameras, especially around the schools with the kids. It is something that was definitely needed. But how can we ensure the community accuracy with the cameras? Like, what are we putting out there for protocol that, because it's still technology and we're learning and things, people can mess with stuff all the time. We know that. But how are we ensuring that whatever is going on with, all your procurement, everything you guys do, that we're all set, that the community is getting the actual, like the speed, if the speed says 30, is actually reading 30.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. You talking about?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, great. So there's a couple of different ways. Number one, addressing vandalism or tampering. There are anti-tamper seals on the cases of both speed, red light, and on the school buses as well. All those equipments to preserve the hardware security, if you will. From a software perspective, there are daily touches over the air, over the software, non-physical touches, but there are daily touches to the different camera systems to see if they're operating properly. Is the video recording, number one? Is it accurate? Can you actually see what's there? Is happening as well? As it relates to speed, they have a radar in it. It's the same type of radar that's used by a handheld gun by a police officer, and that radar is calibrated no less than every 12 months by an independent third-party company that does that calibration and provides that certificate to City of Syracuse and the administration of those. So in the same way that a police officer with a radar gun on the side of the road or in his vehicle, his or her vehicle has a radar that's calibrated, these are calibrated annually according to the state law as well. And we do that about every 10 months to ensure that we don't fall behind.
And those time periods for maintenance and calibration are laid forth in the enabling state legislation.
So when it comes to actual violations, and this is probably the question I'm getting the most often right now, when it comes to violations, if we violate somebody at a red light on, let's say, November 1st, we're not violating them again November 2nd, right? Are we sending out that first violation and then giving them a chance to respond to the first one before we're violating them again the next day?
So it's important to remember that we are within a 60-day warning period right now.
I mean, once we get past that warning period.
Yep. So I'll get to that. And so the way that the state law works is that every violation receives either a warning or a notice of violation. So it is per incident, right? The reason why we're doing a 60-day warning period is because we know that this is a very significant change in the way that we enforce our speed and traffic safety laws, particularly around schools, right? And so the state enabling legislation does not require a warning period. And typically the average, the industry best practice is a 30-day warning period, and that's intended for residents to get a couple notices, get a couple warnings. I fully expect that many homes and households will get a warning in this period. We wanted to ensure that residents are aware of these programs and what the expectations are and what the expectations are for changing their behavior behind the wheel. And so we doubled that warning period to a 60-day length of time with the expectation that many individuals will get a warning. We want residents to receive that warning, read that mail, that piece of mail that will come, and say, oh, I made a mistake and I need to be more cautious when I'm behind the wheel, particularly around schools.
Do we have, so it's interesting, well, two things that I would like to say is that, one that I think, and it's not Jenoptik, it's more of a city thing, I think we need to have a little bit more signages out letting people know like school zones are coming, especially for people that don't know. People that live here sort of knows where schools are, but if you're coming from, you're not local and you coming through a school zone, you really don't know. Next thing you know, you're seeing a camera, right? So actually letting them know you're coming in an area, signs that says you're coming in an area where there are schools, be prepared to slow down so that people are mentally starting to prepare that these are neighborhoods that are schools, right? That's the first thing. But the second thing is how close once you're going past the school zone, I'm trying to use this as a object, and you're driving up, how close to it before it reads it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I always watch it, it goes like 25, 24, 30, you know what I mean? So where is it catching it? How is it reading? This is something I'm interested to know.
Absolutely. I think your questions are really important. So the state just vehicle traffic law, New York State guidance, federal guidance requires signage, right? It requires signage at the entry point into the city boundaries. And so we've put up signs to say, this is a community that enforces traffic violations with automated cameras. And so that's around a number of required locations into the city. And then every zone also requires multiple signs saying you are about to enter an area of automated enforcement that is camera enforced. So please be mindful of that. Our engineering and DPW teams are currently going through with a fine-tooth comb every single one of these zones to make sure that we have the appropriate signage in place so that when the warning period is over and we actually start to issue violations with dollar amounts, that we know that we've done everything that we can to communicate to drivers, you're about to enter a school zone and you need to slow down.
So one of the things that I'm fairly aware that you guys are, and you can answer the second question, is it's the side street. So say you're going down Newell, right? And McKinley is right there. If you hit Cannon, you're not aware, right? So it's not really the main streets I'm focused on.
Yep.
It's the side streets. So if you're coming off one of the side streets and you don't know, you're not recognizing that you're coming to a school zone, which you're gonna connect, which I just want more people to be aware of it, that this is an opportunity for, to be knowledgeable that we're watching you.
Absolutely. Have you been having coffee with John Kiblahan in our engineering department? Because that's exactly his concern as well.
Really?
And you are spot
no.
on. Absolutely.
No,
so
no.
that is a concern, right? We want to make sure that if an individual is coming from the side street, that they also receive the appropriate notice to say, this is an area of enforcement. You need to be cautious here. Because there are interpretations of the requirements that say that those may or may not be required. And we're trying to ensure that we've gone above and beyond to communicate to residents with appropriate signage. Was there anything to add?
Yeah, just one other piece on that. The beauty of doing a 60-day warning period as opposed to the traditional 30 is at that 21 to 30-day mark, we can start looking at where the problem area is. We can go, hey, this is a problem. And then we can step back and go out to the site and go, what's the problem? Oh, a side street comes up to this and there's no signage. Maybe we can stop it. It's all about the safety. That's the number one. And if we see something else that, hey, how do we address this specific one that's just an outlier? For some reason, it's recording way too many.
And then to your other question, Councilor, apologies.
Okay.
The camera has a zone that it can enforce about 70 feet. I was going to say 70 to 100. So glad we're on the same page there. And so there is an area where the cameras are pointed that is the more specific zone of where the radar reading occurs.
It's a point. It's on the point on the road, and it's no sooner than the actual pole itself. So like traditionally when you see it say your speed is 50, it's 45, it's pointed out at you coming to it. The speed recognition for this is not coming that way. It's pointing at the pole or beyond the pole, wherever it's the straightest.
So if they start to slow down and recognize it, and they get to the pole and they're at the speed limit, then they're fine. It's just if they're going, okay.
So for those
To
that
kinda
are
go back to-
violating the speed limit, so how do you give them the fines electronically? How does this happen?
So Jeff, can you talk about just the multiple rounds of review and then all the steps that have to happen before the piece of mail lands in a resident's inbox?
You bet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the first thing is obviously is the occurrence. The incident has been video recorded. It's a 10-second video recording of the potential violation. It comes to Jenoptik. We do a first pass review, human review. We verify, is the video right? There's 3 pieces of video that come in. Is the license plate readable? Is it legible? And a couple other things on the location and time of day. Make sure the business rules have been adhered to. Because if it's speed violation at midnight, that's out of the enforcement time. So we make sure that those first pieces are that it is a school zone between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. So the business rules. Then from there, it goes to a quality check. A quality checker looks and says, okay, this reviewer has been approving 100% of the things that come through the queue. We know that's a problem because we know some things shouldn't be coming through that first review. So we're doing a quality check to make sure. 5%, up to 5% of those first reviews will go back in for a second first review just to keep the quality check. It's a statistical sampling to make sure that that first review is being done properly and there's proper training.
Does it verify that the plate is actually attached to the car that it's on?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's part of the human review. That's correct. Then,
Oh, he's still going. Go
okay.
on.
And then it goes to a second human review. At the second human review, they have the business rules again. Now they look at it and they see the plate is legible attached to the car. They see the registered owner information for it as well. They verify make and model matches, what's with DMV and what's visible. They see those things. They make sure the data bar is correct, time of day, et cetera, location, et cetera. The speed is correct. And they verify those things. Then if they approve it internally, Jenoptik approves it, then it goes out, another quality check, goes through that cycle of quality. And then from there, it goes to Syracuse Police Department for review. SPD reviews and determines. Jenoptik does not determine if there's a violation at all. We're saying we believe this is a violation based on the business rules that Syracuse has provided to Jenoptik to look at. And now SPD, take a look and see what you think. SPD, there's generally industry-wide, there'll probably be between a 2% and a 7% rejection rate. At SPD would be normal. And SPD will look at speed's obviously pretty easy because is the radar certified and what was the speed and time of day business rules. Red light, definitely more judicious. If SPD has reviewed and SPD determines that's something I would cite. I would issue a ticket for that if I was on the road. Then it goes in approval status and comes back to Jenoptik and says, print and mail that violation on behalf of the city. And so we print and mail that violation and give the person there the opportunity to either come and get a court hearing, to just pay it online. If it's a school bus, the beauty on the school bus is they can see the 10-second video clip, and they can see them in their car. They can't see them inside the car, but they can see their car at the time of day. School bus stopped, yellow school bus, the stop sign's out, and that they actually passed it. Most often on school buses, people watch that video and they go, that was dangerous. And 98% of people on school buses don't repeat, industry-wide, 98%. It's a very, very effective tool. It's also a $250 fine, so it makes an impact. But that is the process. And so there are the 2 human reviews plus the quality checks that occur before it gets to SPD to do a human review.
I just wanted to circle back and piggyback off of what Councilor Caldwell had spoke about as far as like the warning signs. Are we taking into account areas where there are hills? Because if you come up Colvin from the Comstock area and you are accelerating because you're on a hill, all of a sudden you hit the school bus zone. Now you're already in acceleration mode and you have to quickly try to slow down. You're not going to, well, I don't know based on what you just said about the far as it being right at the pole, but it is hard to reduce that speed so fast. So adding more signage prior to the pump, I guess, would be absolutely helpful. And I don't know if that's the only location where that exists.
Yeah, we'll take that into consideration as well in this case, in Syracuse's case, at the 30-day, 21 to 30-day mark where we're looking where problem sites are. Go, gosh, there's a lot of offenses there. What's going on? Oh, it's an uphill. Okay, instead of pointing the spot speed right at the pole, let's move it down further to, say, 70 feet down. So that, what do we think would happen to that? Would that make a difference? So we'll have that dialogue, that thought process.
And Councilor, President just identified Bellevue and Geddes.
And I'm sorry, the first one you mentioned, please? Oh, sure. The first one you mentioned, please? Colvin. Got
East
it.
Colvin.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the other questions, so once the tickets, you said the third step, give to the police. Oh, I'm getting both mics. All right. Give it to the police. Once the police get it, then chief, you guys give it. If you think it's approvable and you think it needs to go, then it goes to BA. Like, what's the next step? Like, once you get the actual ticket and we're like, yeah, you think it's a ticket, they fine them. What is the next step for the constituent to say, they got to go to court? Is court BA? Okay. Okay. I'm just trying to say the steps so that people understand.
Hi, Leah Whitmer, Director of the Municipal Violations Bureau. So once they get the ticket in the mail, they have 40 days to pay or contest. And again, we base that time frame on the state requirements. So most of our tickets are 20 to 30 days. This is 40 days. Pay or contest. If they want to contest, it goes through just technicality. The Parking Violation Bureau is what the state law allows us to adjudicate through. So they can request a hearing. Right now, you can do it right online. You can come into our office. We're working to get kiosks set up in the front of our offices that should be up before the warning period is over so that people can, again, look at that evidence that Jeff was referencing right there, make a determination if they want to pay. They can pay. The payments go directly through Jenoptik, but we'll have those kiosks. They can make that payment there with a credit card, or they can contest, and we're updating and working with Jenoptik to ensure that that process is flawless. Since we started with school bus ticketing in the middle of May, we've done over 100 hearings for school buses. So my staff are all trained and ready to go.
What does the percentages look like how many people are objecting to the ticket for the school bus arms? What percentage are actually just paying it and going?
Yeah, it's right around 10%, I'd say right now, based on the numbers. Again, it's me looking at the numbers in the system, so I'm not entirely sure. But because summer school continued, I think the number of buses on the road and the events captured were a little bit less, and we're seeing a lull right now in hearings. Like, I think this morning we only had 2. And then with, I think school bus tickets started going out again on Friday. So I think it'll pick up, but it's right around 10%.
And is it cumulative? So if someone has 10 parking tickets in the city, are we adding these violations to that and then making them boot eligible? Is all of it going together or no?
Not yet. That's a proposal that I'll have coming in front of you soon, but I haven't quite gotten that far yet. But that point, I think, was outlined in Connor's recent memo. That's one of our collection plans and something that we've talked to other municipalities in the state that they're doing.
May I make a comment? I applaud what is going on in the Butternut Street corridor from Carbon Street down to Josephine, because now we have a school zone 20 miles. It's keeping vehicles at a normal speed rate. They're not excessively speeding. However, and this is a persistent problem on the Butternut Street corridor, the school bus driver stops, and he's got to wait, and he's got to wait. Within 10 seconds, we have a backlog of vehicles going back a quarter of a mile, and I'm not exaggerating. So now we have a backlog of vehicles. Some are blowing the horn, some are backing up. They're trying to find it and making a roundabout. They're turning around in the other direction. So what can we do to work on the stalemate of vehicles where there's a stall and there's an immediate pileup of cars? What can we do to keep traffic flowing? What can we do to work with the school bus drivers and the parents, make sure the children are there? And if they are not there when they get there, they just go on.
Yes.
Maybe you can answer that question, please.
Dr. DeFlorio, I'm the Chief Operations for the Syracuse City School District, and we do our best to look at routing. If there's problematic routing, we can talk to the Department of Transportation. However, it depends on the child and the needs of the child. Some children need to be picked up at their home, particularly if they have
I
disabilities.
understand that, and I do see that, but I'm talking about another way because I see this many times.
I mean, that's the best I can offer you, is that we can look at routes, particularly if it's a traffic issue. We don't want kids coming out in traffic. We don't want traffic backed up. That's the best we can do. There are some instances that we will just simply have to do our very best at that moment, particularly depending on where the children live.
So we might also consider where we have central bus stops. Would it be all right if a child can walk maybe one block?
They do.
They do where they could cut down on the stop after stop after stop.
Yeah, that's a possible solution for some children. We have moved bus stops.
We can.
Yeah, if we can, for different corners, to make it safer for children, we do that quite regularly. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
While you're there,
Dr.
Dr. DeFlorio.
yes, I wanted to just mention to everyone really, but Long Meadow Drive has had consistent speeding on that street where people not going down Salina to Meacham? To Meacham, but cutting down Hilton to go Long Meadow, which is a backside street, and speeding. So I've been getting complaints throughout the entire year. I did speak to someone from the city about it, but now that we're here with this, that is a street that needs to potentially be looked at in a larger capacity. I don't know if it's for
Yeah, that may be for DPW to take a look at if there are some engineering
that's,
considerations.
I spoke with
there.
engineering, but I'm just making sure to reiterate.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. And we also
everybody.
can loop in our police department as well to have some targeted enforcement there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. LaFleur. Also, that was a very good point, because that's also dealing with the side streets. So that means the more that we have, more radars detecting, people are gonna get going down main streets, and they're gonna go down side streets to avoid it. So that's where we come together with DPW, maybe getting some more speed bumps and everything. But the other piece that I wanted, Dr. DeFleur / Honeybee,
Yeah.
Honeybee too. I think we're okay with that question. Any other questions with Dr. DeFleur? Yeah, we're all set. Did you want to say something?
I did. I just
Okay,
want
go
to say
ahead.
thank you to the city and Jenoptik for doing this. I think it's very important. The safety of our children, particularly the bus arm cameras, been very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. DeFleur.
Let me ask this question. How many cameras do you approximately have you installed?
So New York State provides a limit on the number of cameras that we can install for speed and red light programs. It's 34 locations with multiple cameras at those locations for the red light program and 36 locations for speed as well. We have almost all of our speed cameras up. For our red light cameras, as we've said, we started the program with one in each quadrant, and over the coming weeks ahead, we'll be installing the next phases of that to eventually get up to that 34 locations by within this fall is our goal.
And then my next question for you is, it may not even be a factor, but as the police with their body cams and all the different policies, is there a policy on how long you can keep this? Is there a policy on what you do with it? I mean, what is the policy?
Absolutely. There are very strict requirements from New York State, and then there's also some industry practices. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeff to answer your questions.
Yeah, that's great. One thing I've noticed about Syracuse, I've been in the industry for about 12 years. One thing I've noticed about Syracuse and the way you all have approached asking that question, your team has approached it right out of the gate. First thing out of the gate was my privacy and what's going with data security. How's that going to be happen? Many cities don't think about that, and some other things have happened with other companies in the way they generate revenue. But our contract with the city in section 7.2 it's called non-disclosure of information, and in summary it says Syracuse data is owned by Syracuse, and all derivatives of that data is owned by Syracuse, and Jenoptik has agreed that that would be a breach of contract if we were to do anything with that data.
How long do you keep it?
So it's kept in a stored environment, either on a server or a cloud environment, and it's expunged no later than every 1 year, 12 months. It's expunged.
Okay, so every year is a sponge. So
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
And that's if it's been a violation. If it's a non-violation, if SPD determines or our reviewers determine, hey, there's nothing there,
You expunge it
gone.
immediately.
That's
Okay,
correct.
can I ask the question, Connor? The policy, can we get a copy of that?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
We also have signs, you know how like if you're going down Genesee Street and you're, just before you're entering the school, they'll say like school zone, speed zone 9, between 9 and 6, right? Can we make sure that because this is a 24-hour thing, right? It doesn't.
The speed cameras, as per state regulations, are only during certain times. So the speed cameras are citywide, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's a rule that New York State sets, and we're making sure that all of our signage appropriately communicates that time period. And that's only on days when school is in session, so including summer school. But if there's a weekend or a holiday, those cameras are turned off. The red light program, the state enables us to keep in operations 24/7.
Okay, that's confusing. Say that.
It is a little confusing. I'll
Yeah,
say
say that
it again.
one more time.
Yep. So the speed cameras, according to New York State, can only operate on days when kids are in school, right? And only during the time period of 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. right? The red light program has different requirements from New York State, and those can operate 24/7, 365.
So do we
Red
have
light
spots
cameras.
where we have both? So I'm thinking, let's use Teal and James Street, for instance. So we have a hotspot red light there with accidents, and then we have 2 schools right after it. So we have speed and red light there?
Not the exact same location, but certainly there are a couple of places, James Street is one of them, where there are a number of schools, and we know that there are a number of violations that occur on that corridor. And
So there's a chance there that you could get the speeding, you could run the red light and get a speeding ticket within that's probably what we need right there, because it's pretty
think
bad
so.
there, so.
Yep.
Why can't we just make it across the border time? Like, that's confusing.
That's just the way that New York State, their enabling legislation says this is what you can and can't do with the program. We could ask our state representatives to adjust that program and have speed cameras longer time periods or 24/7, but that would require the state legislature to approve that type of law.
You got a speed camera, you got a red light camera, you got
Got a bus camera.
Like it's the bus. It's like a lot of cameras. I can't.
It
keep
is.
up. Yeah.
And Connor, what does,
So, I'm just a little confused. Maybe Lee can answer. Is this, these tickets that are issued, are they civil tickets or are they state, will points pile up?
Yeah, Leah Whitmer. They're civil tickets. They're not traffic violations issued as if they were issued on the spot by a police officer, because they're automated enforcement.
Okay.
If you look at the governing laws, like the actual violation outlines, the penalties for speed, for instance, it shows an escalating fine schedule depending how fast you're going. Through the automated enforcement program, like Connor said, the state caps it at $50 and then a $25 penalty if you don't pay or contest within the 40 days. So you don't get points on your license.
So, even though the police department reviews it,
Like a
there's still
parking
no
ticket.
point. Yeah, it's, okay, it's just like a parking ticket, because I've been getting a lot of questions also about people
Yeah,
trying
we
to
have
get
as
into
well.
the city through the work zone violations. They're getting a lot of them. 81 and all those places, so that's a civil, I guess, too, but,
Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah.
in other words, you could keep on violating and it just be, we'd have to collect it through our means in order to collect any of the money, correct? It would
Correct.
be, the big thing is getting points on your license, where you could lose your license, obviously.
Yeah, you can't get points on your
I
license
know.
for this.
Well, I
The
know that.
only
That's what
allowable.
I'm saying, as far as enforcement goes, that's more of a hammer than just a civil action.
We did have a conversation, Connor and I, about looking into seeing if we could take that route of tagging it along with either registration or something like that.
Before we
It would be
take,
registration. I just want to
Right.
clarify. They're two
Yeah.
different things,
They
right?
are.
They're not points on a license.
No.
The
Right.
state allows for both parking and automated enforcement, that you can go through the DMV to put a registration hold.
Correct.
But you have to have a certain number of violations encompassing both parking and or automated enforcement within an 18-month period. So that would be, once we put it in place, it would take over a year and a half for that to happen.
before, it'd be great if somehow we could share this information for speeding and all that with the school district. just particularly the principals of the school, because I wonder how many of these tickets are going to be issued from parents trying to
Yep.
get their kids.
They've shared it, and I know from my children's school, I've spoken to both the principal, the vice principal, and a couple of teachers, and they're all aware. So I think the district's done a really great job of getting it out. I've got it on the Talking Points app. I've gotten emails, and I know the teachers. We asked them to share that again at the start of the school year, and the comms team has made some updated, fact sheets with all the programs and information, and we made sure to highlight that these aren't points on your license. These are civil fines. They're not criminal. They're not traffic tickets.
I know Councilor Rouser had a question.
Oh, yeah. What is the school in school days? Is that Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday? Because I know when I was growing up, kids went to school on Saturdays, and I think sports still happen, or sports practice might still happen on Saturdays as well.
So my understanding is that the program would not be allowed when just for sports. It has to be when academic classroom is in session, and that would include summer school. I can't speak to any Saturday scheduling.
I don't even know if Saturday school still exists.
We did provide Jenoptik with the school calendar and times as well, and we will do that again once summer school begins too.
So there is no Saturday schools?
No,
That's
there's
correct.
no.
Okay.
That's correct.
Question for you, right? Because you know how people get calls and people are complaining. They're complaining about the fact that, let me ask you this. I know it's in the Syracuse City School District's purview. What about the charter schools? Are we cameraing the charter schools as well?
Our primary focus has been to ensure that all of the city school districts have at least one speed camera and one red light camera in and around their campus facility. Because we have we're allowed a higher number than the number of SCSD campuses, there may be one or two charter schools that also have a camera within the city boundaries. Yeah.
Well, to President Hudson's point, it's important, I know commissioners probably are aware of this, but the the speed zone and the traffic outside of some of those charter schools, we got to make sure that we have, proper signage there too.
Yep,
I know Councilor Caldwell talks about the same school I talk about, the charter school in West Genesee Street. And I noticed there was a sign there the other day that said slow 20 miles on West Genesee Street with those kids crossing, even though it's farther away because they have to get past Park Ave too.
Yeah, I don't understand why we wouldn't do all schools.
I think we've done as many campuses as the numbers allow. So the state says you can only have X number.
Oh, that's right, you said
Yep.
cameras,
Yep.
34 locations.
Can that go as time goes?
We would have to petition our local legislators to ask for additional camera locations. Right now, we're in a demonstration program period. So this is a 3-year, Leah, demonstration program, maybe a 2-year. 2 to 3 year demonstration program to say, hey, how does this work in your community? And then they would need to re-up that legislation to allow us to continue after that period. Anything to add to that?
Each
Leah?
one's a little different. Some go up to 5. Most of them are set to sunset in the end of 2023, I believe.
2027?
What?
They're going to sunset in what?
23.
You going back?
Yeah, sorry. I was
Back
looking
in
at
time.
one of the local laws. 2029, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Connor, I got a question. So now, we have the red light camera, school zone camera, and the bus camera,
Yep.
right? The 3 cameras, all right? Now, for people, because I've gotten a lot of calls so they're listening, what about the cameras on the highway?
That's the question.
So the 3 programs that we that are empowered to provide are the 3 that you just mentioned: bus cameras, speed cameras, and red light cameras. We're the first city in New York State to have all 3, and we're implementing all 3 in this year. So it's a very significant change to what residents and drivers should be expecting. The highway cameras are administered through NYSDOT, New York State Department of Transportation, and those are focused on protecting construction zones, particularly when construction workers are on the ground.
Say that again, because we getting blamed for that.
We can continue to communicate with our partners over at NYSDOT to make sure that there's abundance of communication around that program. So I know that with the amount of construction that we have in our city right now, I think the numbers are $2 billion of construction activity going on between I-81 and
And they
Micron
say,
and
boy, the
everything.
city's sure going to get us for something, and that's not even us. We're not on the highway.
That's not us. That's right.
So if NISTOT is doing this, and I know we're off the but it's about the cameras, who are making sure that the construction people have the necessary flaggers and the people to let people know that they're coming up, right? So if the speed zone is one thing, but who's checking to make sure the construction are doing what they're supposed to do, letting people know like they're coming up, you know?
Anybody from engineering zone? So my understanding is that, so there are contractors who are doing the actual construction work for I-81, right?
Right.
And that it's the responsibility of the New York State Department of Transportation to ensure that they uphold all of the traffic safety, the signage, work zone safety requirements from New York State law. So it's the State Department of Transportation to ensure that the contractors are doing their work correctly and safely.
This is my last one, and y'all can take over. So, 3 things. So, with this, just so that people, so I can answer the questions that I'm gonna get, for the red light camera, the school zone camera, and the bus camera, what are the 3 things that people need to make sure they understand? Red light camera is what?
24/7,
24/7,
$50,
right? And how much?
$50.
All right.
That's also set by New York State.
24, okay. School zone camera,
The speed cameras are only on days when school's in session from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's also $50.
and bus camera.
So that one's set by New York State as well. So that's anytime the bus has its amber lights flashing and its red stop arm out, have to stop. Can't not travel from behind or from in front of. You can, at a T intersection, you can go through, right? And that's where there's some context around. This is a little confusing. You know, that's just per vehicle traffic law, right? But if a bus is stopped, its amber lights are flashing, it should have given you a good 20-second warning. Its red stop arm comes out, you must stop, right? The New York State law says that the first violation within 18 months is $250. If you get a second bus stop arm violation within that 18-month period, it rises to $275. And if you get a third within that 18-month period, it rises to $300. And you know, as Jeff said, because of the high dollar amount of those, because of the urgent safety needs around that, the industry has found that 98% of people who do get one bus stop arm ticket never get a second one.
I know that's
What about the school cameras? Can you do something like this?
We would be open to that conversation, but New York State law says they're all $50.
I think that would be good at 50.
Could I add one thing
Yes.
to your question? Because
Yes.
I think it's constituency based.
Yeah.
No points, no insurance notification.
Those are very important.
You'll get those questions too, as we talked about earlier with the points and is my
So-
insurance going to go up?
That's because we're ticketing the registrant, not the driver. But if Chief Schaaf pulls over the driver for that, he tickets the driver.
Criminal.
Different
Okay.
ballgame.
Criminal.
Right, different ballgame.
Right.
Okay.
Dr. DeFlorio, question for you, because we talk about the amber lights and the stop arm going out, but I've traveled behind a lot of school buses, and they'll sit there for a long period of time. Maybe you could take that up with transportation, and then they'll flip out the stop sign. So
Yeah.
they don't necessarily do it in a timely manner.
We did have training with them prior to the start of the school year, so we hope that has improved. We were aware that in May, when we first started the pilot, that those things were happening, that they were coming out a little too fast. So we have done training with the bus drivers and made them aware of those issues.
Doc, while I have you here, just to go back to the question about the school schedule, I know we're going to have questions about this. When it pertains to a snow day, the cameras are going to be disengaged at that time. How quick can we, or will SPD be the ones to determine you're not going to issue a ticket or anything like that? I don't
You
know if
stumped me,
anybody thought
Counselor.
about that.
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. Does a snow day?
No day, school's not in session, kids aren't there.
Sure, so the only ones that would affect would be the school speed zone, and we would notify Jenoptik, and so they would disable the cameras, or if any have come through, we would notify them before it got through their 2 rounds, and probably even before they pulled the plate, before it got to PD. So I'm pretty sure that's in our business rules, just to notify them. Obviously, we haven't come up on that yet, so, but it is in our business rules.
Okay, I just want to double check.
Good question.
Thanks.
And we're hoping for no snow days this year.
So, the STEAM school and ITC both are gonna have, they're both, because those are 2.
They're right next to each other, and we know that Adams Street, excuse me, is an area of
Yes.
particular attention.
When are we starting the construction for that
For the underground conduit, so we gave them the approval after Monday afternoon to go ahead and move forward, so they should be starting that in the next week or so.
So Adams Street, I mean, you know, geez, you're going to slow everybody up on Adams Street as they're trying to get on. That's going to be a very difficult feat for the Syracuse Police Department.
So the speed cameras and the red light cameras shouldn't really slow traffic. The bigger concern that I believe Councilor Nave was talking about was when buses are stopped for loading and unloading. I know that we've worked very closely with SCSD to ensure that the proper locations for the bus unloading points there, and also that it's directly across from the Centro Transportation Center. So the vast majority of students, if they're not dropped off by a personal vehicle, will take the Centro bus there.
Did you say the speed cameras on there? I know how fast people go down. It is. I bet that's probably gonna be where the most ticketing comes from.
What, there will be a couple of locations.
Adams and Salina.
Yep, a couple locations.
I probably want to just have Chief Schaaf give us some quick information. I'm not even sure where we are with it, but because we have talked about a merit of cameras stuff, what can you just refresh us about the exit cameras? I'm talking about off the highway, the ones that
You're talking about the LPRs?
Yeah.
So the ones we discussed were at Calvin and State, or Calvin and Salina? Those
No,
were,
this was it was about we being responsible for some cameras that were supposed to come off the exits. You know what? Maybe it's not cameras. It might be lights.
okay.
It might be lights. It's okay. All right. Thank you. It's not cameras. It's not cameras.
One more question that was just put in my ear, but I have seen it. Some of the signs say 20 miles, and some of the signs say 25 miles.
Correct.
So what is it?
So they're almost all locations are 20 miles per hour for a school zone speed camera. There are a couple, I believe, on James Street is the one that I can think of, and maybe one other one. That the state speed limit is 25. The school zone speed limit is 25. That's because of just the higher threshold for that the higher baseline speed limit on that road. It's a 10-mile-an-hour reduction is what a school
That's
speed zone is.
confusing.
I agree.
Well,
I'm going to start taking the bus, I think.
Well, if there's no more questions or statements, so I'd like to say thank you to Jeff, thank you, Connor, for everything. This has been great, very, very informative. Thank you to President Hudson, thank you, Councilor Caldwell, and all the other councilors. This meeting is now done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll get ready for 1 o'clock for last parking.